paintings, stories, drawings, a gravy boat, little things she made without thinking much of them, the way she creates, as if beauty is her hand's first language. We look at them sometimes, and she comes back to us, instantly, completely, at whatever age she made them. That's the Madeleine. That's what she does to time. For her project, Madeleine built a little free library. It now stands at the entrance of the French immersion elementary school she attended as a girl. And the kids who go there love it so much that some of them have been found faking illness so they can stay inside and read instead of going out to recess. Yet another involuntary memory, every time we pass a little free library. She built something designed to give other people the feeling she already knew, that a book can take you somewhere time cannot reach. She is named after a cake that looks simple, was made by a girl history almost forgot, inspired Proust to write one of the greatest novels ever, and changed everything it touched. She has done the same, with kindness as her mother tongue. Madeleine, we are so proud of you, not just for what you earned today, but for the kindness you leave in every room, and for the doors you leave open behind you. Well done, Madeleine.
Thank you, Mr. Frey. Jonathan Hoffman, will you please come forward to say a few words on Sophia's behalf?
Good evening, or good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Today, we are here to celebrate an amazing accomplishment, our girls earning the rank of Eagle Scout. It's my honor to congratulate this group of 6 and to share a few words about Sophia on this milestone. The Eagle Scout Award is much more than a badge or a title. It represents many years of hard work, dedication, service, leadership, and personal growth, holding steadfast to the ultimate goal of Eagle Scout. Sophia spent years, countless hours, achieving merit badges, camping out at Voyager Bay, and taking trips to Seabase and Philmont. In reaching this milestone, it required perseverance, commitment, and a true test of character. Sophia has demonstrated all of these qualities, and in doing so has earned many lifelong lessons, skills, and so many more important traits that will help guide and take her to all of her life's goals. One of the things that stands out most about Sophia's journey is her resilience. There were challenging moments when balancing school activities, family responsibilities, friends, and demands of scouting that seemed impossible. It was this moment along this journey that she put scouting on simmer and on the back burner. Thanks to Joel Nordine and many other Scout volunteers who believed in her, Sophia stayed the course and was determined to see her commitment through. She rededicated herself and pushed on. Sophia had the courage to keep moving forward, to find the strength to overcome obstacles, and to finish what she started, and more importantly, accomplish what she set out to do. Bravo, Sophia. Bravo. Sophia's Eagle Scout project of a public bike rack and a little free library to Morningside Church, MTC, or Morningside Theater Company, is a perfect reflection of her ambitious nature, energy, and vision. It required the tough task of blueprint planning, a vast supplies list, and the challenge of acquiring the necessary material to take on essentially 2 projects. Without incurring any financial expense, she was able to secure over $750 worth of supplies. No small task, indeed. Sophia took on this project with vigor and her enthusiastic way. Upon deciding this project, one of the first things she said to me was, "Dad, I would love your help with this, but let's be clear. You are great at DIY, but this is my project, my responsibility, my planning, me garnering all the donation resources, me coordinating volunteers, and most importantly, me leading a team through every stage of the work. That means I lead, you follow. I think I did that. Needless to say, it was very gratifying and fun to be on the sideline and watch her execute, and boy, did she ever do it. She guided the design, construction, painting, and installation of the project, bringing together a group of people to turn that idea into reality. Her leadership extended to scouts, non-scouts, neighbors, relatives, and friends who volunteered countless hours on the build and the install. Thank you to all of you who helped. I see many of your faces here today. The true measure of leadership is not doing the work yourself, but inspiring, organizing others to work together toward a common goal. Sophia demonstrated exactly that. Sophia, earning the rank of Eagle Scout is a tremendous accomplishment, but is also a reflection of the person you have become. Your resilience, courage, strength, and leadership have brought you to this moment. Your mom and dad are beaming with pride of what you have achieved, grateful for the big heart you share with everybody. Bravo, Sophia, for this monumental achievement. So happy you are, so happy for you as you close this chapter in your life, and super excited as you start your next one. You undoubtedly will accomplish so many things in the future. Go keep being amazing. Go keep being awesome. Go UCLA. Go Sophia. Move your feet. And quoting a famous philosopher, do or do not. There is no try. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Susan Cushions, will you please come forward to say a few words on Samantha's behalf?
Hi, good afternoon. There will be tears. Apologies in advance. Good afternoon, everyone. What a wonderful thing we get the opportunity to witness today. 6 young women in front of us as Eagle Scouts. Sophia, Sylvia, Merritt, Iris, Samantha, and Madeline. It's rare and remarkable, and it's for a reason. Gender equality still remains a goal we are working to realize, which is exactly why these 6 are they matter so much. In more ways than one, they represent the future. And the future, it turns out, has a great deal to teach us. So I wanted to highlight the story of our sea-based adventure. All 6 were there. And with these 6 ladies, they showed us about how progress on equality can be achieved. It was the spring of 2023, and it was one of the coldest and rainiest that South Florida had ever seen. Not exactly what we were expecting for our spring break. And it wasn't easy. We nearly hit another boat, we ran ashore and needed a tow, as well as multiple late night anchor watches. But we came out of it with all of our fingers and our toes attached, and woven right through all of the challenges and chaos was joy in it all. There was kayaking on impossibly blue waters, barking and meowing at each other across our boats, and one sun-drenched afternoon tanning on the beach. Through every bit of it, not once did these girls splinter. They closed ranks, they picked one another up, and they turned a wild week into something none of us will ever forget. And that's the whole point. Progress doesn't come from one woman pushing ahead alone. It comes from exactly what these 6 did on the water. One girl reaching back behind for the other girl, choosing to cooperate. And that's how the future gets built. And that's why my charge for you 6 is so simple. Stay close for the rest of your lives. 20 years from now, when one of you hits a hard season, be the buoy that lifts the other up, and be that patrol again. And now to Sam. Sam, your story with this troop started later than others. We moved to Edina in the summer of 2020, which is not an easy time for anyone to be a new kid anywhere. But you found your people out on the cross-country course, and for that, I am very grateful. Sam, when some would see this as an insurmountable obstacle, starting 2 years behind to achieve Eagle, you never did. You simply put your head down and you got to work. That is persistence, that is grit, and that is exactly who you are. You did all of it while being a whole person, with great academic success, commitment to your community, volunteering with kids in theater, and having a social life so jam-packed that I can't even begin to keep up with it. You called it out in your Eagle ambition letter, balancing fun and focus, and you do just that. Now you're off to Chapel Hill to chase a calling you've already named, to heal. Whether it ultimately means healing the planet or healing people on it, I have no doubt that you will be successful. Years ago, your father and I decided that our one real goal as parents was simple: to raise good humans. Sam, you've already knocked our goal clear out of the park at 17, and you've set an excellent example for your brother. To all 6 Eagles, we could not be prouder, and congratulations. And to our Samantha, from your dad, Stephen, your brother Sebastian, and myself, we love you with all our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cushions. Joel Nardine, would you please come forward to say a few words on Iris's behalf?
Thanks, Lakin. So I remember in 2018, the BSA announced that they were going to let girls into scouting. And my memory isn't great, but Sam, I remember, I think you texted or called me within like an hour. Maybe an exaggeration, but you were like, we hashed the plan right there, like we got to get our girls into scouting. So the girls were allowed into scouting, to Cub Scouts first in 2018. And then into Scouts BSA the next year in 2019. And our girls were 5th graders at that time, 4th graders at the time, actually. And so they joined scouting. And they followed the footsteps of their big brothers. Sorry, I gotta take off my glasses, I can't see here. But Iris's journey started in scouting actually before that announcement. She had been already tagging along with Rowan to Cub Scout events. And some of you on the stage might actually remember joining forces to help run the concession stand at the Pinewood Derby. And at one point, I think one of you were like forcing, taking $5 for like a Rice Krispie bar and saying, go away. And then the rest of the money went to the Cub Scout pack. So well done raising money for the Cub Scout pack. But earning Eagle is a long and difficult road under the best of circumstances. It demands persistence and grit. And now add to that the weight of being first, the first girls, because when you're the first, you face headwinds. And not only that, COVID took a chunk of their early scouting years away from them. But Iris, rather than letting that stop you, you leaned in, you're camping in the backyard, you're knocking out merit badges online, you're finding a way to make progress, even when progress was hard. There are many lessons I hope all of you take away from this experience. First, the power of steady progress. You learn that great goals are achieved one small step at a time, and that consistency beats intensity every single time. You built a community of like-minded, talented, goal-driven people who supported you when times are hard. But regardless of your community, earning Eagle rank was something you had to do for yourself. You had to want that for yourself. You did the work, and I'm so proud of all 6 of you. Iris, I've loved watching you courageously try new things. I'll never forget seeing you at the shotgun range at Voyager Bay for the first time. That shotgun was nearly as tall as you are. But you went on to not only shoot, but excel and become one of the best shots in the entire troop. It's one of my thank yous to Steve Stewart and to Mike Leach, both here, for welcoming these girls on the range when I had such fear of them being embraced, and you guys treated them just like anyone else, just exactly what we wanted. So thank you. Early on, I'd wonder how long you'd stay active as the flurry of teenage life pulled you in different directions. But last year was your last senior summer camp, is one of my highlights of my life. Watching you help run things, both as a scout, but also as a lifeguard working the waterfront. Opportunities you don't normally get at a summer camp. This is wonderful to watch. And to spend a day with most of you guys out on the water fishing is one of my highlights of my life. But in the end, I will always cherish the simple, chaotic joy of listening to you girls talk nonstop in the back of the car all the way to Voyager Bay for like 3 hours. On the way up, it was nonstop chatter. On the way home, you could hear a pin drop. Shocking, I know. But thank you for sharing your journey with me. So you guys didn't just earn Eagle Scout. You went from finding your footing, just trying to fit in the troop, to being woven into the very fabric of this troop. You helped build the trail for not just girls that will come after you, but for every scout who will be earning Eagle later on in their lives. I'm so incredibly proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nordian. Katie Peterson, will you please come forward to say a few words on Merit's behalf?
Good afternoon. Merit couldn't decide if she wanted her father or me to speak today. She asked me because she thought I would be the safer bet to get through this without crying. I am not really sure why she thought that was the case, but we'll see. Either way, I am honored beyond words. And I'm standing here today bursting with pride, as so many of the other speakers have said. I stand here both as Merit's mom and as the former scoutmaster to these girls and leader of the Liberty Patrol. And I am so proud of each and every one of you and of the young women you've grown into. I wouldn't normally allow this for someone so young, but in retrospect, this was a phrase that came to define much of Merit's childhood. And it was what Dr. P, Merit's eye doctor, said when she prescribed Merit's contact lenses at age 7. When Merit went to her pre-kindergarten assessment, we, of course, expected them to tell us that she was perfect. We certainly thought so. So you can imagine our surprise when instead we learned that she was legally blind in one eye and pretty darn close in the other. So after dutifully patching for most all of her waking hours and wearing some of the thickest glasses that you have ever seen, her vision could finally be corrected with contact lenses. And in true Merit fashion, her doctor wrote the prescription far younger than was typical because, and I quote, Merit can handle it. So putting the contacts in the beginning was a challenge, one that took Dad's full attention and about 10 minutes on a good day. So the deal was you had to give lots of heads up in the morning that today was going to be a contact lens day. So one morning, furious with not leaving enough time, Merit stood in the kitchen, tiny hands on tiny hips, frustration written all over her little face. Then she spun on her heels, marched upstairs, and a few minutes later she returned and proclaimed, "There, I'm not wearing glasses today." The contacts were in. And that was that. Dad never helped put the contacts in again at age 7. That was determined merit at age 7, and it's still merit at age 18. So you just heard from Susan about CBASE. That was sophomore year, and yes, CBASE has made it into my comments about Merit's scouting journey as well. So the Liberty Patrol, we were headed to CBASE. It had seemed like a wonderful opportunity to dangle a carrot for these girls, to keep them really excited about Scouts as all of the other fun of high school threatened to lure them away. It was a glorious adventure that would be just the right mix of scouting adventure and spring break sunshine. But I'll tell you about a slightly different side of our CBASE adventure, because it seemed like it would be glorious until we met the captain, Brenda. Brenda was a gruff woman. She had lots of cats, or at least it felt like there were many of them. I think there was probably just one. And she had a vocabulary that would make my father, a career sailor, blush. We heard all of it. On the second day, that morning, a fierce storm rolled in. Rain was pelting, the wind was having its way with the boat, and that night we had somehow drifted, despite the girls doing a phenomenal job on anchor watch, and then the anchor got stuck. So the vessel was at risk, the rain is pelting, the captain is yelling instructions and words that will not be repeated, especially in a church. And with all of that, we could not make sense of the instructions at all. So Merit, chaos ensued. Merit kind of stood on the deck, caught her breath, made sense of the situation, went over to where the anchor chain was, looked down, and got to work. And as she later wrote in her college essay, using her logic, her problem-solving skills, and yes, her determination, she was eventually able to free that anchor and get that boat moving again and get on with the rest of the adventure that was CBASE, just like Susan told you about. And also all of her nails, which were just done before spring break, and a lovely bright blue, remarkably stayed intact. When Merit joined BSA, Scouts BSA, I think she thought it would be full of adventure with good friends. I'm not sure the significance of being one of the earliest girls, along with the rest of Liberty Troll, to join Scouts registered with her. But as college essay writing time came around, many people pushed her to write about the challenges of entering Scouts, about blazing a trail, about overcoming resistance, but she refused. She said she never really experienced it that way. And I think that says something beautiful about many of the adults and Scouts who welcomed these girls. But I also think it says something about Merit and the Liberty Patrols. The Liberty Patrol, girls who were so determined that they didn't stop to see themselves as pioneers, even when they were. As Merit closed in on Eagle, I'll be honest, her steady march of the early years became a slow crawl at times. Dinner with friends, parties, Starbucks, schoolwork, more schoolwork, more schoolwork, all of it more appealing than the paperwork and sometimes drudgery standing between her and her Eagle rank. And yet, she did it. Because the determination that got those contacts in at 7 years old, it hasn't diminished. It's just matured. Scouts didn't give her her determination, But Scouts did give her the practice of using it, even when she didn't want to. And I believe that has taught her that those are the times when determination matters the most. James chapter 1, verses 3-4 says, "The testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Merritt, your dad and I are so grateful for every part of this community that has shaped you into the beautiful young woman you are. We are immensely proud of you and know that you will leave your mark on this world. We love you. Do not ever lose that fierce 7-year-old hand-on-hip determination.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Sam Van Norman, will you please come forward to say a few words on Sylvia's behalf?
Just some tough acts to follow. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sam Van Norman. It's my privilege to be delivering an Eagle Court of Honor speech for the second time for my second Amazing Scout. It feels like only a moment ago that Sylvia and her patrol mates were nervous weebelows moving at like high speed through all their requirements to become some of our country's first female scouts. It's truly remarkable, truly brave. You also couldn't keep Sylvia away from it. She saw her big brother coming home after these camping trips, talking about shooting shotguns, sleeping in tents, choosing their own food and cooking. And she said, I want to do that. So when Joel called me, I suspect Sylvia was there. Come on, Dad. You're waiting too long to get this started. I also know that scouting wasn't always easy or always fun for Sylvia. There were definitely some headwinds being a female. There were definitely a lot of really boring requirements and the drudgery of paperwork. And even though those are all those highlights like Sea Base and weekend campouts and community service events, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't so fun. And I was always just so admirable of Sylvia exhibiting the grit, the resilience, the drive to persevere to really achieve this remarkable honor. I've seen scouting bring a lot to Sylvia as a human being. I'll just call out how I've seen her embrace a number of the values that scouting introduced her to and are now a core part of her being such an amazing human being. First, the commitment to community service has really blossomed from its roots in scouting as she earned 3 community service letters, coached many of the aspiring softball players that are now her teammates on the high school team, mentored struggling students, both formally and informally, and kind of culminating, building a calming oasis for senior citizens as her Eagle project. She also developed great joy for the outdoors through scouting. Whether it's hiking, fishing, doing prairie restoration, I credit her experiences in scouting as the spark that's leading her to pursue environmental science this fall at Clark University. Finally, and I think probably most importantly, I've seen Sylvia practice what is arguably the most critical and most challenging point of the Scout law. And I've really seen this with all of these Scouts. A Scout's brave. They face difficult situations, even when they feel afraid. They do what they think is right, despite what others might be doing or saying. This is Sylvia. She's not only brave for herself, which is hard enough, she's brave for others, even when it means putting herself in an uncomfortable spot. Sylvia, your brother, your mom, and I are so proud of you. We love you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Van Norman. I'd now like to ask Steve Stewart to please come forward for the Eagle Charge and Oath.
Thank you, Lakin. Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, and Sylvia, please stand. This is not the end of the trail, but a beginning of a new era in your lives. Since 1912, nearly 2.6 million Scouts have earned the Eagle rank, and you are now among them. You will always be an Eagle Scout, and you will always be expected to conduct yourselves accordingly. Would all Eagle Scouts in the audience stand as well, please? Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, and Sylvia, I charge each of you to embrace without reservation the ideals of honor and service that define this fellowship. By repeating the Eagle Scout promise before your fellow Scouts, you seal your commitment to those ideals. Having completed the requirements for Eagle Scout, are you prepared to accept this challenge to rededicate yourselves to the Scout oath and law? Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, Sylvia, and all other Eagle Scouts in attendance, please display the Scout sign and repeat after me. I reaffirm my allegiance to the promise of the Scout oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. With the help of God, I will do my best to make my training an example. My influence and opportunities strongly count. For fitness, wholesome character, and devoted citizenship. In Scouting and in my community. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you, Eagle Scouts in the audience. You may be seated. By the authority vested in me by the Council Advancement Committee and by the National Court of Honor of Scouting America, it is my privilege to pronounce you, Madeline Frey, Sophia Hoffman, Samantha Cushings, Iris Nordine, Merritt Peterson, and Sylvia Van Norman as Eagle Scouts. May the oath you have taken remain with you always. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Jeske, please come forward for the presentation of awards.
Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, and Sylvia, please have your parents come forward and join us for the presentation of your awards. Parents, when everyone's in place and ready, please replace the Scout neckerchief with the Eagle scarf and slide.
When you're complete with that, will you please pin the Eagle Award on your scout? Now, as a symbol of the advice and counsel provided to you by your parents as you advanced along the Eagle Trail, I now ask you, the Eagle Scouts, to pin the miniature eagle pins on your parents. Throughout the Eagle process, each scout may be guided by an Eagle mentor, a volunteer who helps with project planning, required paperwork, and keeping the scout motivated through to completion. These scouts were fortunate to have Joel Nordine and Suzanne Wollner in that role. Thank you, Joel and Suzanne, on behalf of Troop 123 for your dedication to and support of these Eagle Scouts.
Eagle Scouts, congratulations. I express confidence that you will honor scouting throughout your life as today's scouting honors you. Paired Sun Eagle Scouts, you may be seated. It's time for our new Eagle Scouts to say a few words. Madeline Frey, please step forward.
Hi, my name is Madeline Frey, and I've been involved with Scouts, specifically this group of girls, since 5th grade. My journey through Scouts started with one of my best friends, Iris Nordine, with whom I'd been doing Girl Scouts with, and she invited me to join Cub Scouts. Now, I can't remember exactly what she said or how she convinced me to join, but I'm pretty sure it was something with how within Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts we would get to go camping or ride horses, something fun like that. Or maybe it was because we didn't do that much in Girl Scouts. Even though I wasn't in Cub Scouts for that long, my group of girls, the Liberty Patrol, ended up crossing over to Boy Scouts, and we definitely caused a commotion. Since we were the first girls to join Troop 123, we had big shoes to not only fill, but create. We were the blueprint and the test run for the future girls who would join our troop, and it was definitely not an easy task. Obviously, disrupting a male-dominated environment had its struggles, but now I don't really see the bullying and sexism that we face towards our sixth grade selves. I only see our journey and how much we have grown. We were able to face these things and still persevere to achieve the rank of Eagle Scouts. One of my favorite things about Scouts is that I've mostly done it on my own. Obviously, I've had my friends and my families and Scoutmasters help me along the way, but Scouts has always been something I did by myself. My parents were never really involved with Scouts, only driving me to and from meetings, but I was the one keeping myself accountable for merit badges or packing for camping trips, but honestly, I liked it that way. I got to build something by myself and be proud of it, especially when I made it to Eagle Scout. But my parents definitely helped me more with my project, like my dad putting sticky notes on the fridge with the words Eagle Project so I'd be reminded to work on it, or my mom helping me paint my little library. So thank you guys so much, and I'm very appreciative of your help. However, my favorite memory from my time in Scouts has got to be something that I worked on with someone else. Not only by myself this time, but with Iris. We were both up at Voyager Bay one year, which is my favorite place in Minnesota, by the way, and we both somehow had a free merit badge session. So while everyone else was working on merit badges, we got given a lovely and beautiful task of free labor. We had to paint an outhouse, a bathroom in the woods. We were graced with this task and obviously had to do it, but I don't think we complained once. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. We had each other and just got to paint and chat, and since we were the creative directors for this project, we got to use our artistic skills and paint smiley faces and our initials in white paint, and then obviously cover it all up. But if you check the back of the outhouse, you might still see something. But in the end, what seemed like a task so jarring and you would think smelly ended up becoming one of the best outhouses in all of Voyager Bay, in my humble opinion, of course. Scouts has taught me so many good life lessons, and I've been so grateful to have met so many amazing people through it. So thank you so much to my parents, Scoutmasters, friends, merit badge counters, and everyone else who has helped me through my journey in Scouts, and also to everyone who took time out of their busy schedules to come today and support us. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Sophia Hoffman, please step forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out to celebrate us earning the rank of Eagle. My name is Sophia Hoffman, and I've had the honor of being part of Troop 123 for the past 7 years. Scouting has left a profound impact on my life and has shaped who I am today. The friendships I've gained, the lessons I've learned, and the memories I've made from Scouting will continue to shape my experiences and guide me in the future. As a young girl, the thought of being a Boy Scout was an impossible fantasy, let alone the idea of one day becoming an Eagle Scout. Growing up as a member of the Girl Scouts, I was always extremely jealous of the boys who were involved in Cub Scouts, who got to go on fun, exciting camping trips and build fires, things that us girls never got to do. Because of this, once girls were allowed to join Scouts BSA, I eagerly became one of the first. One of the very first campouts I remember was we went on a difficult hike with my Wee Willow's den. We were challenged, scared of the sharp incline and likely dehydrated. I remember my mom telling me about how cranky we were and how much complaining we did because it was too hard. But in the end, when we completed the hike, I forgot all about the struggle and thought only of the joy and how wonderful it felt to accomplish something as a group. I still feel the same way about many of my Scouting memories. For me, most importantly, my time in scouting has taught me the importance of finding the joy in discomfort and being open to taking on new challenges. Anyone who has been to Voyager Bay Summer Camp can probably relate to spending hours packed into the boiling hot metal box that we call a storm shelter in the middle of the night. It sucked. And yet, for me, surviving those tornadoes have made for some of the best and most memorable moments of Scouts. It brought us closer together as a group and made for some really fun jokes. Also, waking up at 5 in the morning to hike 13 miles up Baldy Mountain at Philmont with blisters on our feet was another challenge that I faced while in scouting. Ultimately, every challenge faced in scouting has taught me the importance of perseverance, and looking back, without the struggles, it wouldn't have been quite as fun. Yes, not every moment was perfect, and we all faced many challenges over the years, but I think that that's the most important lesson scouting teaches. Not how to tie knots or how to build a fire, but how to overcome and even embrace the unexpected challenges that life throws at you. So finally, I would like to thank everyone who has helped me along this journey and who has made scouting such a special part of my life. Specifically, I would like to thank Mr. Nardine for his never-ending support throughout my scouting journey and all of his help in earning my Eagle rank. I would also like to thank my patrol mates for always being there and sticking with scouting even when it got difficult. Specifically Sam for giving me the motivation to continue in scouting even when I fell behind. Also, still want besties for life. I would also like to thank all the younger girls in our troop who have joined scouting over the past few years. It made it much more worth it to stick with scouting in the final years, getting to be able to see these girls fill the shoes that we have left. I would also like to thank everyone who helped me with my Eagle Scout project. Without your help, I would have never been able to obtain the rank of Eagle. Shout out Zoe Kelman. And finally, I'd love to thank my parents. To my mom, who always supported me through my scout journey, from our very first Cub Scout outing, when we went hiking and when we went on a dog sledding trip, to my very final merit badges. I'd also love to thank my dad, who supported me throughout this journey and all of his help earning my Eagle Scout rank and with my Eagle project. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Samantha Cushions, please step forward.
Hi, my name is Sam Cushions, and I have been lucky to be a member of Troop 123 for the past 4.5 years. Since moving to Minnesota, this troop has not only provided a strong community, but it has also connected with many of my most fond memories, and I'm going to share one of them with you. So, my first year at Voyager Bay, which is the land belonging to Shepherd of the Hills that our troop uses for summer camp, I was put in the chess merit badge along with a few others. Out of all the merit badges that we do at summer camp, it's like not the most fun, I'd say, but we made it our own. After a few days working on the badge, everyone involved was entered into the chess tournament for Troop Olympics, and that was one of the requirements for the badge. And at this point, I was all chessed out. We had played at least 15 games. I was learning how to write in the algorithm that we had done. It was just a blast. But I was set to play the reigning champ, who I believe to this day has still yet to be beat, Will Leach. Now, don't get me wrong, Ryan Spangler was a great merit badge coach, but chess was definitely not my strong suit, so I knew what I was in for. Anyway, so I walked down to the A-frame, and I sat across from Will, and I told him, I was like, I really don't feel like doing this game right now. And he was like, same. And I was like, would you draw with me? And he was like, sure. So we just right on the chess tournament board, we're like, draw, and then we go back to our campsites. And then at dinner, Ryan Spangler comes up to me, and he's like, no way. How did you draw with Will Leach? Like, you have to tell me, like, every move, like, please tell me that you wrote down the algorithm of it. I was like, I mean, really, if you do the communication merit badge, it's super easy. Like, it's, like, very, you know. But in all seriousness, I'm so grateful to be a part of this troop that's so inclusive and committed to the growth of its scouts and that's so community focused. Thank you so much to my merit badge counselors, scoutmasters, and my Eagle mentor, Mr. Nardine. I would also like to thank my mom, who never let me join Girl Scouts because she was afraid that they would put her in a leadership position. She has now been a scoutmaster of our troop for a few years, and she's been doing an amazing job. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Sam. Iris Nordine, please step forward.
Hi, my name is Iris Nordine, and I am proud to be one of the first girls to join Cub Scouts in 2018, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of Troop 123 and a member of the Liberty Patrol for the last 7 years. Scouting has been a huge part of my life and has taught me countless lessons that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Besides learning how to fish, sail, tie knots, and build fires, Scouting has taught me to push through even when things are hard and to see things through to the end. When we first joined the troop, it was often difficult to see our progress. Having no other girls to look up to made Eagle Rank feel like an impossible dream at times. But in 2024, I achieved my goal of Eagle Rank. What I had envisioned going into Scouts as the end was not the end of my scouting journey at all. I have so many fond memories of my time in scouting, like at the Troop Olympics 2 years ago when Liberty took first place overall and I got second place in the shotgun event. Chasing the snapping turtle we named Schmeichel down the gravel road to the lake at Voyager Bay, using our camp food funds to buy cake instead of actual food at a camp out. And while on our 5-mile hike at summer camp, we stopped to give a deceased turtle, not Schmeichel, a proper burial. But really, the most meaningful part of all of it has been the relationships we've built. I'm so grateful that I've been able to grow up with the Liberty Patrol and that we've been able to go through this experience, both fun and challenging together. When I think back on all my memories through scouting, they all include my Liberty friends. 5 of us started our journey together, but have picked some up on the way when Sam joined in 8th grade, and when Lily was an honorary member until she joined in high school. And the relationships also extend beyond Liberty. I've developed so many strong friendships with Scouts that have made this experience even more worthwhile. I wanted to thank everyone who helped me get here today and made Scouts an amazing experience. All my merit badge counselors and Scoutmasters, especially Mrs. Van Norman, for being the first female Scoutmaster and helping us make a space of our own within the troop. Mrs. Woolner for being my Eagle mentor, and my parents for supporting me every step of the way. I also want to make sure that all the younger Scouts here today know that they should stick with Scouting because it's so worth it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Iris. Merritt Peterson, please step forward.
Hi, my name is Merritt Peterson. For me, scouting has been a roller coaster. I'd be lying if I said I loved every second of it or that it was always a breeze, but I can confidently and earnestly say that I am thankful beyond measure for everything that I have learned over the past 7.5 years. I've learned discipline through the process of earning merit badges, completing requirements, and carrying out my Eagle project. Without the deadlines of schoolwork or the nagging of my parents, Scouts was one of the first places where I had to take responsibility for myself and commit to getting things done. Nobody was going to earn those badges for me, so for the first time, it was entirely up to me to chase after my goals. I've learned resilience by pushing to feel at home in the troop. Although there was definitely some initial resistance to girls joining Scouts, I speak for all of us when I say that we are now welcomed and just as comfortable in Troop 123 as all the boys are. Being part of that transition taught me how important it is to persevere, even when things feel uncomfortable or uncertain, because on the other side, it will all be worth it. I've learned practical skills like financial planning, first aid, leadership, and community service. Each of those skills has empowered me to become a more productive, active, and involved member in my community. But above all, I've had so much fun through Scouts. Some of my favorite memories include being crushed and risking my life during the Troop Olympics. with my friends. We all sustained many bruises from the battles of canoe racing and greasy watermelon, but I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. I cherish the hours I sat in peaceful silence of anchor watch every night during sea base. Those hours spent alone looking out at the ocean were perfect. I felt connected to the nature around me and disconnected from the chaos of social media and everything else competing for my attention. I recall forcing myself to drink coffee every morning at Voyager Bay so that I could stay awake for the day full of games, merit badges, and meals. Somehow those early mornings and long days turned me into someone who now can't go a day without coffee. And of course, I'll never forget the criticism I received from Mr. Leach on my rifle form at the range. I refused to lay prone the way he instructed, instead opting to kick one leg out to the side and stay propped up on my elbow. Despite his disapproval, he did not critique my performance after I ranked first out of all of the scouts in the Olympics later that week. I could go on and on. There have been so many special moments that have shaped me into the person that I am today. As I look back, I realize that the most important thing Scouts gave me wasn't a rank, a merit badge, or even the Eagle Award itself. It gave me life skills, community, memories, and confidence. Confidence that I can learn new skills, overcome challenges, lead others, and step outside my comfort zone. In a world where it's easy to stay focused on ourselves, Scouts pushes us to do the opposite. It challenges us to explore, to serve, to lead, and to connect with people and places beyond our everyday lives. It teaches lessons that can't be learned in a classroom and creates friendships and memories that last a lifetime. I wish forever cherish everything that Scouts has given me and taught me. Thank you to my parents, merit badge counselors, Scoutmasters, Mrs. Van Norman, Mr. Nordine, Mrs. Cushions, and my friends who have helped me along the way. I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you.
Thank you, Merit. Sylvia Van Norman, please step forward.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sylvia Van Norman, and I was one of the founding members of Troop 5123 and a member of the Liberty Patrol. First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming to our Court of Honor and supporting all of us through this journey. Reflecting on my scouting journey, my two biggest takeaways aren't centered around the skills that I've learned, but on values, ones that will stay with me for the rest of my life. While being able to start a fire, fish, survive outdoors, and navigate a sailboat, shout out to Seabase and Wolfman, our captain, who would not tell us his real name, so we had to refer to him by Wolfman. These skills will stay with me for the rest of my life. But being able to do all of these aren't as important as the values that I've learned. The first life lesson that I learned throughout my time in Scouts that will stay with me for the rest of my life is the importance of community service. Scouting has not only instilled into me the importance of volunteering, but has made me understand how community service made me a more compassionate individual and built civic responsibility. My second takeaway from Scouts is a deep appreciation for the outdoors. I truly believe that in this way, Scouts has forever changed my life. Without my experiences, I don't know if I would have discovered my love of the natural world, which definitely influenced my college choice and my intended field of study. Scouting gave me the opportunities to hike, bike, camp, fish, and just be outdoors, which I will forever be grateful for, as it led me to something I'm truly passionate about, the environment. Thank you all for being here. A big thank you to my mother, father, and my brother, all of my merit badge counselors, parent volunteers, and Scoutmasters.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you.
Now, on behalf of Troop 123 and the families of Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, and Sylvia, we would like to thank everyone for attending this Eagle Court of Honor. I would ask that Pastor Yolanda please come forward to lead the benediction to close these proceedings.
I just want to say that this has been such a glorious experience, and I am so proud of each of you. Thank you for sharing in this day. Let us pray. As we conclude this court of honor, May you go forth with grateful hearts and renewed purpose. May we be trustworthy in our words, loyal in our commitments, and helpful in our service. May we be friendly to strangers, courteous to all, and kind in every encounter. May we have the courage to be brave when the path is difficult, the wisdom to be thrifty with the gifts entrusted to us, and the discipline to remain clean in thought and action. May we continue to do our duty to God and to country, to help one another at all times, and to seek lives that are physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And may God's blessing be upon these new Eagle Scouts, their families, their leaders, and all who have gathered here today in celebration, now and forever. Amen.
Would the audience please rise? Color Guard, advance. Color Guard, please retire the colors. Scout salute, those not uniform, please place your hand over your heart. And remove all non-scouting headwear. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. Please join us in congratulating Madeline, Sophia, Samantha, Iris, Merritt, and Sylvia. Please join us in the lobby outside of the sanctuary for cake and refreshments. Thank you.